Hey, good afternoon, everyone. It's been another day of a winter storm and definitely more impacting today than it was yesterday with the freezing rain that we experienced overnight and into the morning. But I have Jake Laster here, our multimedia specialist. He is riding with Officer Jackson Kirkpatrick. They're giving us a preview of the roads. And if you are out and about on those roads, one message we are giving tonight and overnight is the roads are extremely hazardous. I know there was some clearing today, some melting today, but all of that has refroze and they're hazardous. And we're beginning to see issues out of the ice that has reformed on most of the roads inside the city limits. But first, I do want to get into what we have dealt with today with storm related incidents. And it all started this morning around 7 a.m. when those calls started to come in about utility power lines down and also trees down. And these are the incidents that we had to respond to. Of course, there's more trees down, and I'm sure there's more utility lines down as well. But these were the hazards that were in roads that we responded to. So over 40 trees fell. There were 40 different incidents where we had to respond to different trees in the roadway. One incident in particular, I went to on Division Street near the county line, and there's probably 20 trees in the road at that moment, and then had to have equipment come out and clear those trees to get that road back opened up. But a lot of utility lines down throughout, and NES and Middle Tennessee Electric have been very busy. They continue to be busy as well. And we'll get more into the power outage during this broadcast too. We had 8-person welfare checks, 7 medical calls, and 2 buildings with smoke reported inside. And currently, our fire department is on scene with one of those buildings on Mount Juliet Road near Faulkner Lane, where there is smoke inside, and they are searching and trying to determine exactly what is happening inside that home. Hopefully, they can find it quickly to get those people back in their house. But if not, we'll certainly work with them to get them shelter. Moving on with what we are dealing with now and to the week is this flash freeze. So we have increased winds, which are leading to more power outages throughout, more down trees and tree branches that are falling because the winds are up to 15 to 20 miles per hour now. And with the weight of the ice already on the trees, the wind certainly doesn't help that. So we could expect additional power outages in the Middle Tennessee Electric area and also the NES area. Both of those electric cooperatives service Mount Juliet and provide power to our city. And the flash freeze with dangerous wind chills rapidly dropping at some point in the next couple of days. Early Monday morning, it's going to get to below 10 degrees. So very, very cold in our area. You'll definitely want to protect your pipes and bring your pets in because it's brutally cold, right, in the low teens and single digits. And there really no melting is going to occur. And the work that our public works crews are doing right now, as it gets colder, it makes it even harder for them to clear the road because salt only works at a certain temperature, and you can only scrape so much ice off the road when it is too cold. Travel is certainly dangerous now, and it will remain dangerous. And I guess that's why a lot of the school systems, Wilson County schools, that's why they closed for Monday and Tuesday so far this week. On our status report, we brought in additional staff this morning once we realized our call volume was up and elevated. So we went to our staffing plan to bring in additional officers and staff. And with that, every call was answered immediately. We were quick to those different scenes. And then we also had the ability to clear the roads with the help of our Public Works Department, Parks Department, City Beautiful Department, and City Management. Everyone was hands on deck clearing those roads to include our police officers and firefighters and EMS workers who are out there. Fire and EMS, they have additional crews currently on duty as well. Public Works, they're still out there salting and plowing with the 6 snow response vehicles that they have. But the big thing that I'm concerned about is this power outage that is affecting mainly NES customers in the Hickory Hills area, Cobblestone Landing area, and Kelsey Glen area. And when we work with NES to get a timeline on when power will be restored, they really can't give us a true when, right? And that is what concerns me because I know people are going to go out for the night and into tomorrow and needing some heat. And at some point, that home that you're in, if you're out of power, is going to get cold if you do not have a way to provide heat inside your house. So we certainly want you to stay warm. We are taking requests if anyone needs shelter. We want them to call us. Call our dispatch center at 615-754-2550 and ask and just let our dispatch know that you are calling to request shelter. And we're going to take your name and put it on a list. And then we're going to resource that out to find out where it is best to get you some warmth and some shelter if you don't have heat or a heat source inside your home, which is without power, right? Of course, you have to be a Wilson County resident, Mount Juliet resident, and we're going to work to get you the shelter you need. But it's affecting Cobblestone Landing, Chandler Point, Kelsey Glen, that section of Old Lebanon Dirt Road. It affects up into the Hickory Hills subdivision as well, and some properties along Lebanon Road. NES provides a small section of the city limits with power, and that's where we see the biggest outage. There are a few Middle Tennessee Electric customers without power, but it's nowhere near the number of NES people without power. So again, if you need shelter, call our police dispatch, and they're going to take your name, your address, and all your information, and then we're creating a list, and we're going to source that out to ensure that you have warmth and have shelter. We're working with different agencies to make that happen. With the weather service, they have this graphic, staying warm when the power is out. There's different things you can do to just keep the warmth in your home. Close your blinds and curtains to keep in some heat. You can close off rooms to avoid wasting heat. Wear layers of loose fitting, lightweight warm clothing. Eat and drink. Food provides energy to warm the body. They say avoid caffeine and alcohol. And you can also stuff towels or rags in the cracks and stuff under your doors to help insulate your room or your house, wherever you're at with that warm. And be careful if you're using any type of alternate heat source. Be sure it's ventilated properly. You definitely don't want to put a generator inside your home and let it exhaust. That can lead to issues that displaces your oxygen that you need to breathe, and you may not realize it when it's occurring. And also with your generator is NES and Middle Tennessee Electric, they put out this information where you have to have properly installed generators, because if it's installed improperly, it can send electricity back through the electrical grid and lead to hazards to those who are trying to fix our electrical grid to get power up and running. But the big thing here is if you need shelter, please call our police dispatch at 615-754-2550. They're going to take your information, and then we are going to work on getting you shelter. The big thing right now is we're just trying to determine how many people are in need of shelter. A lot of people have said they're going to their friends' homes or their family members' homes, or they're getting a hotel, whatever it may be. So we're just taking a list to see how big of a shelter we need or where we can place folks. But we definitely don't want anyone to go out and be in a environment that is dangerous to them. We want to ensure that people have a warm environment. MJ Alert, if you're not connected with that, always like to put a plug in for this, is text MJ to the phone number 67283 to be connected to MJ Alert. And now we'll touch base with Jake and Officer Kirkpatrick out in the field. Jake, how are things out there?
Pretty easy going for me. I'm not the driver today, but it is looking a little icy out, and a lot worse than it was just a few hours ago, road-wise and temperature-wise. How is it over there in the driver's seat?
Definitely a lot slicker than it was. All this slush definitely froze.
Is it snowing or raining any out there? Sleeting maybe?
It is. Looks like sprinkling, but it's definitely freezing to our windshield as quickly as it's falling.
Yeah. Kirkpatrick, what's your temperature say out there?
Mine's reading 19 degrees.
Yeah, so it got
definitely
cold.
showing for sure.
Yeah, on my thermometer, when I was out and about on my vehicle today, I was seeing 38 degrees and 39 degrees. And then about 2 o'clock, it started to drop rapidly with the wind and with that front coming through, really flash freezing a lot of things that are out there. And our parking lot was just wet with slush, and now it's just black ice everywhere in our parking lot. And that's what the roads look like too. Our deputy city manager, Michael Mullins, texted me a few ago, and he says Public Works wants the police to put out an MJ alert asking people to stay home because the roads are just that bad. And that's what we're going to put out there is the roads are extremely hazardous. We do not want you out on those roads tonight. It's brutally cold, and we just want everyone to be as safe as they can. Thankfully, it seems like once this little blip of precipitation comes through that we see right now, we're not going to see any more of that. It's just going to be super, super cold. And the roads, of course, are still covered in snow and ice, and that will continue to be hazardous out there. I see some comments here from our community members. And folks, if you have questions or comments, type those in and we can see them on our end and pull them up on the screen. Georgina has some good advice here. Drip the pipes, fill a bathtub up, then run a filter through it if needed. And if a fireplace hasn't been serviced recently, don't light it up. And that's all very good advice there. And JD here, piping in, we're just getting colder and wind is picking up. Absolutely. I was just shocked how cold it got so quickly. Of course, we see all the comments just with support for our Public Works, Middle Tennessee Electric, our EMS, our firefighters. We greatly appreciate all of that. So right now, Kirkpatrick, looks like you're South Mount Juliet Road approaching Central Pike. And it was grateful to see all the clearing today. The Public Works crews and the state have been out plowing and pushing that off, but the roads just kind of remain wet. And with it getting so cold, they just freeze back up with what you see right now in front of Kirkpatrick's vehicle. Jake, what else you seeing out there?
Everything looks more icier than it did a few hours ago. It's kind of eerie. All the trees sagging and hanging down. You got to watch out for these trees when you are driving. I've seen ice falling off of them and branches fall. And earlier today, we were out with some trees that were sagging and they were falling as we were watching them. So just make sure we're being cautious about that and just trying to drive slow. If you are out, I think everything is closed about now. I know Cracker Barrel was open earlier. It looks like it was shut down. I do believe Waffle House will probably be open. That's just how they roll. But everything else looks basically closed down or right on the verge of being closed. So,
If you don't have to drive, don't. The driving is changing by the minute. How you have to handle the car is definitely changing and quickly.
Yeah, it just looks super cold out there with the ice on the trees like that, and you're driving slow. So I know you're being super careful. This ice storm is what we didn't want to see, right? We were just hoping to get all the snow and not really the ice, because the ice just changes things. And many people in our community are experiencing that in Chandler Point, Hickory Hills, Kelsey Glen, and Cobblestone Landing because they're without power. And that's just what's bugging me right now, because I do want them to have power. I know it's a bit of an inconvenience if anyone has to leave their house to get shelter tonight. And we want to know if you need shelter, call us. Call our dispatch 615-754-2550 and just let us know, and we'll take your information and resource that shelter out. But I woke up this morning with all the alerts from our dispatch center, and I knew it was time to come in and see what we could do to mitigate all of this. And we increased our staff levels too. But it was eerie being out there in the field and hearing all the trees falling and the large branches falling and snapping. It's actually pretty loud. We had a couple calls of gunshots reported in different areas, but really what the caller was hearing was the trees snapping like they were and crashing down. And it almost sounds similar to a gunshot. But there's actually more traffic out now than what we saw last night. There was a lot less traffic out last night, and hopefully these folks are headed home. And we know there has to be traffic. We know that people have to keep hospitals running, and they have first responder and law enforcement jobs like we do, and we have to get to and from our homes. With our dispatchers, to prevent them from having to drive in, we're sending an officer to the dispatcher's home and getting them here so they can get here super safe, and we take them back home as well after their shift. But definitely ice back back on those roadways. Jake, you'll have to let us know if Waffle House is open when you pass back by.
20 to 25. Just trying to take
Now,
it easy, but we're headed in that direction.
Sure.
And you can just tell even from when we left police headquarters to now, the roads are looking more slick, white. It's just the black ice is there now.
You can definitely feel it.
Right. You think Waffle House is open? There are cars there. Looks like there's 2 sheriffs leaving right now. They must have just had a good meal.
Oh yeah, I see some people in there.
Waffle House is definitely open, and the Mapco next door is also open.
Okay, good deal. Jennifer Mullally, gave us a comment. Can you report on the structure fire? And yeah, we still have a team of firefighters and officers out in the 3000 block of North Mount Juliet Road. They are at a residence. And originally, it came in with smoke showing in that, with a power line down as well, which could have led to whatever problem they're experiencing. And our firefighters have made entry, and they have canceled their PAR checks, which basically means you continue to check on them if they're in an active firefight inside that house, and they have killed the water. So there's no water usage anymore inside the home. So hopefully they have been able to put out the different hot spots at that residence, and no injuries were reported. So that's always a blessing. So it looks like they'll be cleaning up that scene soon. It's always hard for firefighters to fight fire during the cold temperatures. They have to keep the trucks running a certain way to ensure it doesn't freeze up, but I can only imagine how cold it is and the difficulty it is to fight any kind of structure fire in these temperatures. Now, Mount Juliet Road, Jake, to your left on that southbound traffic, it looks pretty icy there. Had that shine.
Definitely icy and wet and icy still. There's a few spots that just from the running water off the bridge there, but it is definitely icy. And these turn lanes that are not as highly traveled, they were slush earlier, and now it is definitely like driving over rocks almost. It's super crunchy and slick and hard to stop in. So I don't think we'll be turning that way for a little while, but the people that are in the turn lanes or going to be in a turn lane, make sure you prepare for that, because it is not a smooth ride. You're not going to slide right through the slush. So.
Right. One thing we started to have last night and today as well are medical calls related to falls. Be super careful when you're out walking around your home or your apartment or you're at a business. There's definitely ice everywhere, and you can easily slip and fall. And some people had to, but they did slip and fall and had to go to the emergency room for those injuries. So be careful. Hang on to something. Today I was working on shoveling my driveway, and I about lost it a couple of times and busted my own rear end. So, you got to be careful out there, and just know that ice is super slippery, and it's hard to keep your balance on it at times, especially when it creeps up on you. For sure. You are Mount Juliet Road at Northwest Rutland, still headed northbound. And I've noticed a lot of different trucks with plows out and about. So those are, private contractors probably headed to many different businesses to clear their lots for them.
So he's doing. See a comment up there about the interstate. We did just drive over the interstate. It appears to look clear, but I assure you that what was wet on the interstate is forming ice, and I do believe we had a call about an incident on the interstate not too long ago, right when this all started freezing over. Just because it looks clear does not mean it is. just trying to stay off any road would be the best option. If you do need to take it, make sure you're going slow, like we've said.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right, Jake, there was a crash on the interstate that the highway patrol was working where someone slammed into the center divider barrier and it actually sent concrete all over the interstate. The impact was so hard. So you definitely got to be careful out there. And that's what I worry about. If someone is going at high speed, they hit ice, lose control, and they crash into an object, another vehicle, a tree, a barrier. And if you're going high speeds, the impact is greater. If the impact is greater during that crash, then the risk of injury is higher. And we're all about, keeping people safe. And I don't want to see anyone seriously hurt from this. I saw a report from the Highway Patrol out of Tennessee where there has been a fatality crash related to the weather, and that's just heartbreaking. But if any road is more clear than others, it's going to be Mount Juliet Road and Lebanon Road and the interstate, those main roads. But those side streets are definitely super, super slick. And, I'm sitting here looking at our CAD system in front of me, and there's another call where a tree has fallen and it's hit a power line. It's on Green Lawn Court. So they'll be sending officers out that way to check on that. So we obviously still have tree branches and trees falling in the city, and sometimes when they fall, they strike those power lines, which creates those power outages that we're seeing. But when we have been speaking with Nashville Electric Service, working to get information, they said it's a multi-day restoration effort. They're going to try to update on specifics after they have assessed the system. I do know they had 2 technicians in the city limits assessing the system, trying to determine what was causing all the outage. So that is always good news. And then they're going to get themselves in a position to begin to fix what is causing the outage. And it's challenging that we are on the edge of their system because it's kind of in that order. They're saying as we're on the edge, it may take a while to get it fixed because they're working on the more internal areas first. So they're going to keep us updated, and we'll of course keep our community updated as well. Again, if you're just joining and you're in one of those neighborhoods that does not have power and you need shelter, call our dispatch center at 615-754-2550 so we can take your information and work on resourcing shelter for you. We don't want anyone to be in an environment where they're cold and don't have anyone to help them, because we are here to help you. And we want you to reach out if you need that help. Well, good deal, Jake. Is there anything else that we've missed? Kirkpatrick, you have anything to add?
If you do choose to drive, which I highly encourage you, don't, just slow inputs on those pedals, because it's even if you have 4-wheel drive, it's not going to do anything against the ice that's on the road. So if you do choose to get out there, just slow and smooth on the inputs on both pedals. And even if you go slower, you're still going to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. And folks, we just want you to stay home, stay warm. If you need shelter, please call us and we'll work on resourcing that for you. It's going to get brutally cold down in the single digits at some point Monday. It's going to stay cold throughout the week, and we're all in this together. We just want you to be as safe as you can be. But so grateful for our community and the support that we have. I just always like to say this anytime I can, because the support for us is so overwhelming, and we don't take that for granted at all. We know we earn your trust every day by how we serve this community, and what we've seen is it all is just full circle. When we do our job well, the support is high, and it allows us to do our job effectively to keep our city safe, and one of the safest cities in Tennessee. So our city management supports us full circle. Our elected officials, they're always there to stand behind us when we bring new initiatives to them, of course, within reason, and they support us. And we wouldn't have the support without each and every one of you in our community. You can see on the screen, they're approaching that fire scene on Mount Juliet Road. And We have a lot of police officers out there because the firefighters were worried about the cars speeding by, not slowing down with the ice, and they were worried one of their vehicles could get struck, rightfully so. So plenty of resources out that way. It looks like they're wrapping things up. Of course, it takes cleanup, especially if they've had to use water inside the structure to put out that fire. But full response, I'm just grateful to have a fire department and EMS service that is right there and ready to always respond, and you see it on display. Fire department, of course, there's our EMS, one of our EMS ambulances, our officers out there supporting them.
Definitely.
Public
If you see
safety in
emergency,
our community is second to none. And we're grateful to provide such a wonderful service with a very good deal. What'd you say, Jake?
Say if you see those emergency vehicles and you are out, obviously in the winter, the snow and ice, make sure you give them plenty of space, along with the snow plows and the City Beautiful and the crew that's working to plow and ice the roads. Don't pass the snow plows, and just give them space. They're trying to do their job. And same with any emergency vehicle with lights flashing or sirens headed your way. Just be extra cautious, and especially out here, make sure you give yourself plenty of space to slow down. Don't anticipate the brakes are going to work perfectly, because you're more than likely to slide a little bit. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Good advice, Jake. And thank you both for being out there as well and helping us get the word out to our community and give them a preview about what the roads are looking like right now, and the great safety advice. And to everyone in our community, thank you again. If you need shelter tonight, please reach out to our dispatch center, 615-754-2550. We're going to take your information and look at and resource getting you shelter and some warmth into the night. And depending on when NES gets power restored, always hopeful and praying for sooner than later. But the timeline they provided us isn't anything that is concrete, and it's really up in the air at this point until we hear back from their assessment. So be safe tonight. Stay warm tonight. If there's anything you need, just reach out. Thank you, everyone, and have a good night.